Hi folks, welcome again to the channel. Juan here from Physical Media EU. Today we have this 4K release of Bloodsport to review. Let's check it out. Hello again and thanks for tuning in. So today we're reviewing the 4K release of Bloodsport. But first of all, if you're interested in physical media, consider subscribing to the channel, and you can also find me on Instagram with the same handle, Physical Media EU. So let's begin with a review of Bloodsport. So this is the 1988 Jean-Claude Van Damme, in my opinion, like his best film, that had Blu-ray release back in 2010, but that version was not so good because it was a dual release, so there were two movies in the same disc, so the compression was a little high. And since Jean-Claude Van Damme is one of the action heroes from the 80s, he has many great movies, but this one I think is like the one that has the most fans. So there was a lot of there was a big wish in the community for a 4K release of Bloodsport. So let's take a look at this release. First of all, you can see here the front, and it has this J card here. So there you can see the cover clear, and then the back of the J card, it has some technical details about the release and the synopsis of the movie. So you can see here, this is a German release, so the text here and in the book are in German. So again, here is the front. Here is a very beautiful back. This is one of the two covers that were released in this media book, and I think actually it looks great. So moving on, if we open here, we can find the 4K disc on this side and the Blu-ray disc on the other. Besides that, it features this book, of course, which is about 22 pages. Let's take a look at some of the images here. Let's see there. We have some text about the legacy of Jean-Claude Van Damme, and some other interesting stories around the film. For example, how this movie influenced the Mortal Kombat franchise, and also how Jean-Claude Van Damme decided to join the Street Fighter franchise instead, and actually that movie didn't do well at all. So talking about the movie, let's talk about the picture quality. This is a new restoration of the movie, and I think they actually did an amazing job. The movie looks amazing, especially in the 4K, because it also has the Blu-ray disc, which is also very good, but the 4K version looks a little sharper and the colors much more brighter because of the HDR. So even though the Blu-ray is very good, I still recommend the 4K version. The color tones of the movie were kept pretty intact, I would say, like pretty close to the original ones, but all the colors were revamped a little bit because of the HDR. And actually, I think it really makes it look like a much modern movie. You cannot really tell that it's that old. Regarding audio tracks, as I said, this is a German release, so there's an German audio track and also German subtitles, but luckily it also has English subtitles, which makes this release like much more appealing for non-German speakers. And of course it has the original audio. The original audio is the only of those tracks that actually comes, and I have to say it really sounds amazing. On the other hand, the German audio track is UHD 5.1. There is an additional audio track, which is the commentary of the movie, so it's one of the extras. And what is interesting is actually they have three people doing the commentary. One of them is an actor of the movie that was one of the fighters of this tournament. Then the writer of the story, and lastly, a fan of the movie. That surprised me a little bit, but apparently it's like the biggest fan of this movie in the world, and like he's friends with actors of the movie and so on. So he actually knows more about the movie than many of the people involved. Since we're talking about extras, let's talk a little bit more about the other bonus features that this disc have. The first thing, and it's actually very cool, is that all the extras are on both discs. So actually, the content of both discs is the same. This is very nice. You don't need to change discs if you want to watch the extras. And also, because the Blu-ray is region locked, if you are not in Europe and don't have a region B Blu-ray player, you can still access all the extras because they are also in the 4K disc. And before we go over the list of extras that this release have, I think it's important to highlight that all the extras put together add up to more than 2 hours 30 minutes of extra content. This is amazing, and especially because all those extras are actually new. They were recorded for this version, so it's something that fans haven't seen before and make this release much more interesting. So going over the list of extras, the first of the bonus features, and probably the most important one, is an interview of 30 or 35 minutes with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which I think was probably filmed during the pandemic because the interview was done through a video call. It still is very interesting. They talk about how it was to make this movie, what led to make this movie, and the influence that the movie had. So it was very nice to me to listen to Jean-Claude Van Damme talk about it. Then there are other featurettes. One of them is with the writer of the movie. That's a 45-minute one, also very interesting. There's another one about the cinematography of the movie, which is about 25 minutes. And there's also an interview with the actor Paulo Tocha, who was this fighter I was mentioning before. That's also around 25 minutes. And lastly, there's another 25 minutes with an interview with Paul Wersow, who did the score of the movie. The score of Bloodsport is one of the best. The songs fit so good in the ambience of the movie and certain scenes. And actually, that soundtrack was also repressed on vinyl recently. There are like several versions with different colors of vinyl and a very beautiful artwork. This new release of the vinyl was pressed by Waxwork Records, which have like amazing releases all over the place, and Bloodsport was no exception. I recently got my copy, so stick around for an upcoming review. Moving on, we can talk about other releases. So as I was saying, there are 2 different covers of this mediabook version, but they sold out very fast. In addition, there's also a steelbook case release, which also looks amazing. You can see an image up here, and that one got also sold out super fast. You can still get it on Blu-ray, but not on 4K. So the only option you have to find this movie is through reselling websites like eBay and so on. I have seen some people selling these versions for prices very close to the original one, so that's actually not so bad. Probably they watched it once and I don't know, maybe they didn't like it or something, but it's not impossible to find, and I think you can still get it for a somewhat fair price. Now I want to give a special shout out to the friends of Frames who sent me this movie. So thank you very much, Lonzi and Ralph. And for those who don't know, Frame is a website all about films, mostly independent films with very good articles, in my opinion very well written, and most importantly about very interesting movies. Their web address is frame.es. You can see the URL up here, so go check them out, follow them on Instagram. They are very nice people and they write great articles. And besides sending the movie, they also send this very nice detail, I think, says very good, but brick not hit back. So it's a very beautiful illustration and also has the logo of Physical Media EU in the headband. So thank you so much, Lonzi and Ralph at Frames, for supporting the channel. So that was it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and also following on Instagram, where I will post detailed pictures of this release and you can see from previous videos as well. Lastly, let me know in the comments if you like this movie, if you like Jean-Claude Van Damme, if you plan to get one of these 4K releases somehow, because as I said, it's sold out, but you can still get it in some places as resales. But yeah, so would love to hear about you and what you think. Thank you so much for watching and see you all at Okie Dogs.